What's up, YouTubians? It is your boy, Aluma Yashi. And I'm back with another motherfucking moto vlog. It looks like it's gonna rain. But the Weather Channel says, no, Illumajashi, it's not gonna rain. So I'm gonna trust you, Weather Channel. You better not fucking rain either, because I'm gonna be pissed. So I haven't been on the bike much. And the reason for that is because something's been wrong with the CBR. I talked to my mechanic at work. So here's what it's been doing. Once you ride it, and you shut it off, you go to turn it back on, and it'll crank, and it'll catch for a second. It'll run for just a second, and then it'll shut right back off. So I've been afraid to ride it, because I've been afraid it's going to leave me fucking stranded. But I rode it to work the other day, and had my mechanic there look at it, and he told me that it's probably just the kill switch. And so I took, and I don't touch the kill switch anymore. I stopped using the kill switch and just using the key to turn it off. It's been fine. It's turned on every time for me. But yeah, that's why I haven't been on the bike. That's why I haven't been making any vlogs. For that, I apologize. No, see, almost just did it. Let's see if she's gonna be a dirty little bitch. Success. Suck at sex. Sex? Wait, what? Okie dokie, which way do I want to go? I want to go this way. Conrad says go this way. That's a terrible Russian accent, isn't it? Don't you fucking do it, bitch. That's my favorite thing to say on a bike. Don't you fucking do it, bitch! Alright, so what's today's vlog about? Well, I'm getting ready to tell you. I'm getting ready to tell you what today's vlog's about. Hopefully I can get this on camera. Okay? Hopefully. Do you see the gas tank of a CBR? And if you ever look at one closely, which this drives me nuts, you notice that it's not fucking symmetrical. This side is higher than the other side. And it drives me nuts when I look at it anyway. And so today's vlog is going to be kind of about why I started riding and the event that led up to me going, okay, it's kind of final straw. I want to ride a bike. We only got one life to live, right? Can't be afraid to live it. So the year was 2010, I do believe, and it was right after Christmas. I was on my way back from Arkansas with my mother and my cousin. You know, it was like an 8-hour drive, I think. Wasn't supposed to be that bad. It was supposed to be good. My mother was supposed to be having surgery. I needed me to come up and help take care of her. I was living in Arkansas at the time, me and my wife, and my mother lived up here along with my cousin, and I was just going to drive up there, but no one was really with the idea that I should drive by myself for 8 hours, so I didn't. And my mom grabbed my cousin and then came down to Arkansas to pick me up. So I do believe it was like literally like a day or two after Christmas. And they come down, everything was normal, natural, fine, going dandy. And then we started our journey back to good old Kentucky. It's like, I don't know, just like any other road trip, I guess. Fucking 8 hours of sitting in a car, in this case a truck, and listening to music, just trying to pass the fucking time by. So we're like 7.5 hours in at this point. Like, we're almost home. I think we are like right at Lexington. We're on 65 North coming back home. So it's like late at night. I think it's like 11 o'clock at night. Like, I just hung up the phone with my wife and I told her, I would call her as soon as we got home. It's like 45 seconds after I got the phone with my wife. I'm laying in the back seat, just kind of fucking sprawled out. And I've got my head towards the passenger door, and my feet are pretty much on the driver's side door, like in the passenger area. And I remember feeling like the truck was fishtailing, and I was like, "Oh damn, Mom, trying to drift." We're on the fucking expressway. I remember kind of getting a glimpse up, and I see that we are coming like head on to the guardrail, doing the speed limit of whatever 65 is. I think it's like 65 or 70 mile an hour. And simultaneously, all three of us look and go, "Oh shit!" Just like that. And that's what happened. And we hit the guardrail, and instead of the guardrail stopping us, it actually did the complete opposite, and it threw us over the guardrail. Well, that portion of 65 is a ravine that drops down at a pretty fucking steep angle. And beyond that ravine is a fence, and if you make it past that fence, which is like, 30-40 yards down the ravine, if you make it past that fence, it's like a huge drop off. It's just fence, like ravine, fence, drop off. Well, I remember getting somewhat stuck. I was wedging my arms up against the passenger door in the back seat and had my feet against the driver door in the back seat. And the only thing that I remember from it actually happening is I remember hitting the roof, and then I remember hitting the floor, and then I remember hitting the roof one more time, and then I was out cold. Fast forward about 5 hours, and I woke up. And when I woke up, I was beside our pickup truck. The pickup truck was pent up against a tree on its side, and I was kind of under it in a way. Words can't explain how you feel after you wake up, and everything's different. The terrain, it's dark outside, it's fucking freezing. Because mind you, this is right after Christmas, so in Kentucky it's fucking cold. It's like 30-something degrees outside. After I woke up, I looked in the truck to see if my mom or my cousin were in there, and neither of them were. All three of us were ejected when it started rolling because none of us had our seatbelt on. I remember walking up to the top of the hill and trying to wave down traffic, and no one would stop. Like, absolutely no one. I mean, there's not a lot of traffic at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, so I knew that I had to act fast, and so I walked back down this ravine thing, and I remember looking for my phone to see if I could call the cops, and I couldn't find my phone. And then I looked for my mom, and she was about 80 feet away from me, and she was just on the ground. And I remember seeing what to me appeared to be, her kind of lifeless body. And then once again, that's something that you can't put into words, the way that makes you fucking feel. And I remember just sitting beside her because I thought she was dead. I remember sitting beside her, and I cradled my hands and I put my head in it, and I just fucking sobbed on the ground, man, because it was fucking terrifying. And I heard a slight moan, and I looked over and she was okay. And so I remember going back to the truck, I grabbed a jacket that I had in there out of the window and laid it across her, and then I looked for my cousin for like 10 or 15 minutes. I could not find him. He was nowhere to be found. I fucking walked back up and I'm waving down traffic. Finally, I think what it was I think a trucker had saw me, and although he did not stop, he turned on his flashers, and I think that was him saying, "Hey, I saw you, I'm calling the cops." And so, man, I don't know what the odds that guy would ever watch an Illumajoshi video or even remember this night from 2010, but if you're the trucker who, out of all the people that passed, was the one that finally acknowledged the little bloody fucking kid on the side of the expressway at 3 o'clock in the morning, you saved my fucking life, man, and I appreciate you for that. Although I'll probably never get the chance to tell you that you saved me, brother. Also, like, really the number one thought in my head wasn't my well-being. It was my mother's well-being, my cousin's well-being, and the fact that my child was due to be born in 2 weeks. So I remember begging and kind of pleading with God, and I said, you know, I don't care what happens to me, but if anything, please, Lord, let me get to see the birth of my child. He did that. So what was the extent of that accident? I gotta check my camera. Me walked away with 0 broken bones. I had a hematoma the size of a fucking grapefruit on the back of my head. A hematoma is pretty much where you had an internal lesion, but the skin above is intact. And so the blood clots up in one specific area. And so it looked like I really had a grapefruit underneath my skin in the back of my head. I have complete and total loss of feeling on the back side of my head from extensive nerve damage, and ended up with road rash all down my sides, my back, had broken glass all in my body, shit like that. I was relatively okay versus my mother and my cousin. My cousin is still alive today. He is the guy that I go and see in Barstown all the time. He is now a paraplegic, and if you don't know what that means, he's paralyzed. He no longer has the use of the bottom half of his body. And my mother ended up breaking her back, her foot, her arm. She had a stick actually stuck in her arm, like it was completely through that bitch. It was in on one side and it was poking out the other side, which is fucking amazing. I mean, just remember that. We finally got into the back of the ambulance and went down to U of L Hospital here. And if you've ever been there, you know how big of a piece of shit that hospital is. They actually dropped me, mind you, right after a huge life trauma. Dropped me off of the stretcher. And I wasn't nearly as big as I am now. I was like 175 pounds, maybe. And so I wasn't a heavy guy. There was like 4 people, and they fucking dropped me. And how does that reflect today? So the way that reflects in my everyday life now is, you know, I don't have any long-term extensive fucking injuries from it. My mother still suffers, and of course my cousin, who's now in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I mean, they got it harder than I did, for sure. If I could, I would take all of their pain and suffering and I would put it upon myself. Fast forward to a couple years later. Actually, hold on. So, like, months after my accident, I'd be scratching my head. And if you don't know something about the human body, it's the fact that the human body actually has the ability to push out a foreign object. I never knew this until I found almost a full regular size, like, cereal bowl worth of glass in my head and in my side. And that shit, that's crazy. You know, after being scared and having nightmares and being honestly afraid to ride in a vehicle with anybody as long as I was driving, I was fine, but being in the passenger seat of a car for the longest time fucking scared the shit out of me. And after talking with my wife, my son's already been born, we decided that it was time for me to get my first motorcycle, which was my 1983 KZ 440 that I actually bought from her old boss for like $200 and something, like $300, something like that. It was like dirt cheap. I had that bike all the way up until like a year and a half ago, I want to say. But that accident taught me absolutely anything at all. It's that tomorrow is absolutely never promised. And if you live your life in fear to do something as simple as riding a motorcycle because people have told you your whole life that they're the most dangerous thing ever, you know, they're a fucking death machine. As long as you're not out riding like a fucking, you know, like your ass is on fire, for the most part, they're relatively equally as safe as driving a car. I mean, not in the event of an accident, of course, but all around. You know, people say all the time, I hear people say all the time, fucking bikes are dangerous, bikes are dangerous. And I say, you know, that may be true to an extent, but you know what I hear of a lot more than I hear of motorcycle accidents or motorcycle related deaths. And they're like, what's that? It's like car related deaths. You know, fuck, just think about that. How many times in the news a day do you hear, you know, fucking car turned over on expressway, you know, 7 people dead, you know, shit like that. Not to say that motorcyclists don't die, because it does happen. It's a very unfortunate part of life. But one day we've all got to go. And I would rather live my life happy and doing something that I absolutely love to do than to fear life and never get to live it at all. That's my message to anybody who may watch this video. If you don't already ride a motorcycle, or you may be young, I know a couple of my subscribers are younger, you cannot be afraid to live life to its absolute fullest. And I mean, don't ever let someone telling you motorcycles are dangerous, don't ever let that shit fucking discourage you. Alright, YouTubians, I think I'm gonna call that one a vlog, y'all. Oh, we down here from the south, boy. We don't even wear any shoes when we go outside. Oh shit, man, we're such a fucking, this state is a joke. If anybody's here, they're local. I don't mean that way. You fucking grow up here, you know how it is. But yeah, that's gonna be all for me. As always, peace, love, and bacon grease, and whatever else I say. If you like what you saw and you want to see some more, don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Peace!